Pharmacology, in simple terms, is the study of drugs or medicines. Many different aspects combine to develop safe and effective treatments. The importance of the discipline can be seen when drugs start to be used widely in a community and unexpected effects are detected by pharmacovigilance.
Pharmacovigilance comes from two root words. First is pharma, which means drugs, and vigilance, which basically refers to being more watchful and alert about impending danger.
To illustrate the teamwork required in pharmacology, we drew from a situation which occurred in Uganda a few years ago. Women had started to report unintended pregnancies whilst receiving the combination of efavirenz-based antiretroviral therapy for HIV and long-acting hormonal contraceptive implants containing levonorgestrel.
Yes, Jackie, what's the problem? Can you have a seat and we talk about this?
No. I didn't come here to see. I came here for answers. I found out that I'm pregnant. I do have an implant.
Right now, I have no definite answer, but which drugs are you taking? We want to find out why the implant did not work.
I'm on efavirenz.
The only way we can find out is through doing a study.
A clinical trial was undertaken, and when the results became available, Jackie was invited back to the clinic.
In the need for us to constantly be on the lookout about what drugs can do to us, especially the harmful aspects, which we normally refer to as side effects. They are tested in a few individuals, tens, hundreds, even thousands. But in terms of drugs, 1,000 individuals is too small, because you can imagine eventually the drug, if found to be promising, is given a license to be used in the open market, where there are now millions.
The discipline that deals with the drugs contributes a lot. Although we see drugs in the pharmacies, but there is a lot that goes on behind there to have this drug at the pharmacy level, and most of this that goes on behind there is done by pharmacologists.
To explain how the team were able to find answers, Rita invites her to meet the researchers. The first stop is to the Clinical Trials Unit. Given the current pandemic, the team have moved outdoors into well-ventilated tents.
We do mainly clinical trials here at the Infectious Diseases Institute. And in the tent that we're in, we do experiments for drugs that are being given to people who are pregnant. We give it to patients with HIV. We also do trials in people who are healthy. So the reason we do this is mainly because we want to know, are the drugs that we're giving safe? What do the drugs that we give do? What does the body do to the drug? On top of that, we also want to understand what the drug is doing to the body.
Some of the research that we do is pharmacokinetics research. And what we want to look at are the levels of drug in someone's blood. So for example, if you're a Ugandan pregnant woman and you take this local drug herb called mumbwa, how does it affect the levels of the Western medicine that you're taking at the same time? So mumbwa is not used in the UK, so they might not have had those answers in the UK. But because it's specifically used in Uganda, we have to conduct research in Uganda to see how these other things that we use, the food that we use, the other drugs that we use, affect the levels of drug that we have.
If you give somebody a drug and they are taking other drugs, there could be interactions there. And these interactions can affect how a person will react to the drug. And this can be in two ways. One person might not get the desired effect of the drug that you're giving. So meaning there's an interaction and one of the drugs is reducing the concentrations of the other, so much so that we will have no effect. On the other hand, sometimes this interaction leads to what is called side effects. And these side effects will lead to the patients reporting different kinds of complaints.
There are extensive regulatory procedures to ensure high quality of clinical trials. Every protocol is reviewed by the Research Ethics Committee, the Uganda National Council for Science and Technology, and the National Drug Authority.
The first thing we want to ensure is access to safe and effective medications for the population.
One of the things that we are really big on while doing clinical trials is the quality of the data that we collect. And the quality of the data we collect helps us understand whether we can actually make any conclusions. We are trying to be sure that whatever we are doing here is equal to what somebody else is going to be doing in any other part of the world.
So NDA is here to ensure that everything you said you're going to do, you actually did, so that we can have confidence in the results that you have that are going to inform the national policy.
To interpret the results of pharmacology studies, it is essential to be able to accurately measure the amount of drug in the body. Over recent years, partnerships have enabled the capacity to do this type of work in Uganda.
We can have different samples. It could be plasma, it could be whole blood, it could be urine or saliva.
With these technical skills, Alan is able to set up new assays to measure a range of different drugs. Furthermore, pharmacogenomic analysis explores differences in drug levels resulting from genetic differences in drug metabolizing enzymes. Being able to do these at the same site as the clinical trial brings important benefits.
It's important that we do it here for a number of reasons. You get a feeling of this teamwork. I mean, everything is being done here within the country. I feel proud to be one of the pioneers of this work in this country.
After Alan has measured the levels of drug in the samples, we need to interpret the results. It is important to be able to understand why the results may be different between different people, and analysis of this uses a mathematical technique called pharmacokinetic modelling, otherwise known as pharmacometrics.
We use mathematical data, mathematical models to kind of demonstrate what the body does to the drug and what the drug does to the body. So this is used in clinical practice, it's used in research.
Pharmacokinetic modelling is particularly useful in complex populations, such as pregnancy or young children, where many biological processes come together and may change drug levels.
Pregnant women are a sensitive group, and little children. Nobody wants to do research on them and they're highly protected. But if we get a small group of ladies and we inject them, for example, with a drug, I can use a model and assume that this one lady, multiply the lady 100 times. I can make different assumptions from this one person to depict what will happen in different scenarios.
This modelling requires technical skills, a keen mind and a modern computer.
The modeler has to be part of the study team from the beginning. Why? Because if I'm writing my research protocol, I need to be able to design it appropriately. For example, I need to know how many patients do I need. The modeler might be able to answer that. At what time point should I sample the drug? What time point should I take off blood? The modeler will help me answer that. The modeler might also tell me about special considerations for that population. So it's important that a modeler is involved from the beginning. It's important that we have modelers also available locally when the study is going to happen. You don't want to have to send your data all the way to another country.
Networks such as Pharmacometrics Africa have been pivotal in building and maintaining capacity for this work in Africa. Recognising the strength within Uganda, the Uganda chapter of Pharmacometrics Africa has recently launched in July 2021.
Pharmacometrics Africa offers an opportunity to network with other modelers, with people who are involved in clinical trials, to build capacity to conduct pharmacometrics and PK pharmacokinetic modelling in the countries where the studies are taking place.
Having done the trial, measured the drug concentrations and analysed the results mathematically, it is essential that the findings are shared back with the communities. Patient safety advocates and community members are often best placed to communicate in a clear, accessible manner, and appropriate training can really enhance the effectiveness with which they can do this.
We train them to help patients be able to identify things like, is this the right drug? And do I understand how to take this drug? And what are the side effects of this drug? If the patient, first of all, is empowered to ask for that information, that will be the first step for the researchers to go down into those communities.
So it can be seen that many pharmacology research questions arise within our communities, and as researchers, it is essential that we listen and engage carefully. At the Infectious Diseases Institute, which has the vision to see a healthy Africa free from the burden of infectious diseases, largely through research and capacity building, all of our work is underpinned by public engagement and involvement.
Take the example of the pregnant women on antiretroviral therapy. We observe that there's a lot that we can actually learn from the consumer or the end user. It's not enough for us to do all the good work and publish it and forget that ultimately we are supposed to improve the safety of medicines for the end user.
Pharmacology encompasses many different skill sets and provides the opportunity for students and researchers with a wide range of scientific interests to work together. Professor Jackson Makonzo, Head of Pharmacology and Therapeutics at Makerere University, explains.
Students go into specialties and often get locked up there. It's not the case with pharmacology. When you do pharmacology, you still have the option to divert into what you want. There are several aspects. Pharmacogenetics, if someone is interested in molecular techniques. You can do pharmacoepidemiology if someone is more inclined to public health but as a pharmacologist. You can do pharmacometrics if you are really interested in modeling and mathematical techniques. You can do pharmacokinetics, you really want to see drug levels in the body. You can do the industrial aspects of pharmacology and you really want to see how the drugs are formulated and so on.
It can be seen that pharmacology is quite a unique discipline in that it brings together a wide range of skill sets to address the very real clinical challenges our patients have. But somehow that breadth can also present a challenge in that we tend to work within our particular silos. For example, to do with our specific skill set or the disease we're working on or the collaborative group or partnership that we're a part of. And the difficulty with that is that truly innovative thinking requires a very multidisciplinary perspective, because sometimes we don't know what the unknown areas are unless we spend time with people that come with a very different mindset and different thought processes. So through the BPS Ambassador Scheme, we're trying to raise the profile of pharmacology, and one thing we've done here at IDI in Makerere is brought together a group we have named Precise. Now, it's not a funded consortium, it's not a research project, but rather we've simply harnessed what's already there and brought investigators from different perspectives into a common space. And we're using a range of different interactive, collaborative platforms to really stimulate discussion and thought in a novel way. Rita is now able to explain the results to Jackie.
The team came up with a study and the study results are now out. The study found out that women who are taking the efavirenz, that is the ARV that you are taking, cannot have implants at the same time. Why? Because the ARV, the efavirenz, reduces the effectiveness of the implant. So the results were also published in the Ministry of Health guidelines that is followed by the country.
We hope this short film inspires you that pharmacology is key to understanding real-life clinical challenges such as those faced by Jackie, and being able to inform national and international policy. If you wish to know more, please get in touch.